Hey guys, it's Evelyn and welcome back to my channel. So you guys really liked my video where I talked about my environmental science and policy major and just what type of courses I have to take and all of that stuff. And if you haven't seen that, I will link it right up here. But I thought that I would make another video kind of in that same realm of videos and just talk about all the different types of environmental majors that there are out there. Obviously, I'm not going to cover all of them, but hopefully I can just open your eyes to the amount of different majors that you can go into if you're interested in working with environmentalism or climate change or with environmental science or like anything like that. If you're into, wanting to save the planet, then there is a major out there for you that'll fit your interests and your skill sets. So let's just get started. So starting off, I'm just going to talk about environmental science, and that's kind of like an umbrella major, and then I'm going to talk about more like specific types of environmental science, and then I'm going to move into things like environmental engineering, environmental policy, environmental journalism, environmental law, agricultural stuff. So just stick around for the whole video so you can hear a whole bunch of different majors, and I'll give you some resources to look into more majors and colleges and stuff like that, all down below in the description box. So the first overarching major that I'm going to talk about is environmental science. And how environmental science was explained to me when I started out my freshman year, I'm an environmental science and policy major at Clarkson University, was that it is applied ecology. So it's basically kind of like what engineering is to math and science, where we are taking what we can learn from ecology, so how plants and animals, biotic factors interact with the abiotic factors of their environment and with each other, all that good stuff, and figuring out how we can apply that to making environmental solutions and working to, better our relationship with the planet and make sure that we're not damaging the planet too much, but also that the planet is not damaging our health. Basically, just using ecology and other scientific knowledge to figure out solutions to all of the issues that we're facing with, environmental problems right now, so climate change, deforestation, desertification, all that stuff. How can we fix this? We're like the engineers of the natural world. That doesn't really make sense, but you know what I'm saying. And there are lots and lots of career opportunities that you can go into with just a broad environmental science degree as a bachelor's degree, and there's also so many different more specific graduate programs you can go into. I'm going to be making a video about careers and stuff like that next. So basically at base level, environmental science is just studying how humans interact with the environment, how the environment interacts with us, mostly how we impact the environment. I'll talk about another major that's more about how the environment impacts us in a bit. But basically, if you're just kind of interested in that human-nature relationship, this is good. But also if you just really love plants, animals, all that kind of stuff. And in the video where I talk about all the classes I have to take, you have to take biology, chemistry, organic chemistry, physics, ecology, all of that good stuff. Check out that video to see more specific information. I have my laptop over here with notes, so if you see me looking in that direction, that is why. So now we're going to move into more specific environmental science majors, so more specific branches of science that kind of fall under environmental science. So the first thing you can do is just straight ecology, and this is the branch of biology that deals with the relations of organisms to one another and to their physical surroundings. So you're studying ecosystems, biotic factors, abiotic factors, and how they all interact. So in high school, when you learned about ecological succession, which is how land redevelops after natural disasters like forest fires and hurricanes and stuff like that, also man-made disasters like forest fires. So if you were interested in that, or studying how animals interact with their habitats, or the impact of invasive species on an ecosystem, anything like that, ecology is a really cool specific science to go into for you. And there are so many specific types of ecology too. If you're studying more big picture ecology, or you can look into that. There's so many different branches of ecology, and we talked about that in the biology class this year actually. So this is really cool if you are interested in biology, but you want to really focus on the natural side of biology and not human body and all that kind of stuff. Now that major I mentioned before, if you're interested about interactions with humans and the environment, but kind of more how the environment affects humans, or how air pollution and that kind of stuff affects human health, then there's something called environmental health science, which was another major that Clarkson University has. This will involve things like researching air pollution, indoor and outdoor air pollution, and how that harms humans, water quality and how that affects humans, water pollution, testing air quality inside of buildings, looking at different types of contamination, and it's how that affects human health. So basically how all these environmental disasters and the pollution is affecting humans and not just how it is affecting the planet. Because, the main reason, at least for me, and I know a lot of people that go into environmental science, of course we want to protect the planet and keep it beautiful, but the whole reason we're protecting the planet is so that people can see it and enjoy it And if people are getting sick when the planet is getting sick, then like there's not going to be people left to enjoy the beautiful planet. So if you are interested in health, but you don't really necessarily want to go to med school, or this is a good undergraduate degree for med school, and you're just interested in seeing like how air pollution affects people's lungs and like how it's affecting COVID-19 and stuff like that, then this is a cool major for you. Now, if you are an animal person, there are a couple, well, there's a lot, but I'm going to talk about like a few different major options for you if you are an animal person. So there is animal science, and this is more like if you want to work with domesticated animals like on farms and stuff like that, or maybe if you want to go to vet school, so just learning about, you know, animal behavior, how they work, what are the best practices for, you know, raising animals on a farm, the most sustainable ways to like harvest meat. I'm a vegetarian, so like but like if we can have more sustainable ways to have meat, then like that's cool. But yeah, if you're interested in that, or if you're more interested in working with like wild animals and seeing how, you know, animals exist in nature, there's zoology. And zoology involves things like taxonomy, which is like classifying organisms, as well as like evolution and genetics. So animal science is working with animals, and zoology is studying how animals work. I would definitely like Google both of those and read more about them to get like a more in-depth explanation, but that's kind of what I could gather from looking into them. And I have a website linked below that explains all of these majors better. Another major that's similar to zoology is wildlife biology. So wildlife biology studies animals and their behavior, along with the role that each animal plays in its natural habitat. So if you're really into biology and how life on Earth works, you can check out wildlife biology or conservation biology or environmental biology. So if you're really interested in kind of the more like molecular level or like sciencey, like you're really into the sciencey stuff, there are really cool branches of biology that you can go into that are like more specific, more small scale, like really looking at, you know, chemicals and molecules and all that fun stuff. But you know, that even though it seems like you're really small and focused, that can have a huge impact on, you know, improvements in the way we treat our planet and our environmental issues and all that stuff. So if you are a very sciencey person, I would check that out, because we need more conservation biologists and wildlife biologists, and those are like great jobs if you want to work for like the DEC, which is Department of Environmental Conservation, or like for the government and helping them, or like the fish and wildlife. I don't know, I'll put logos. Yeah, I'll mention that in my next video about like careers, but those are cool. And they're also great if you're interested in going into like a PhD program to do something like really specific with biology. Now, if you are more of a plant person than an animal person, I think I'm more of a plant person, but probably just because I've never had any pets besides like goldfish, so I don't really know. There is botany, one option. So that's the study of plants, especially their structure and development. So you're looking at like diversity and variety of plant life, evolutionary relationships among plants, and like functional systems like their physiology, how do you say that? And environmental relationships among plants, and then also like the interaction of plant life with animal life and like how they provide food and all that stuff. And it can also do some like research with like plant diseases and soil sciences, and then also like conservation of plants and soil and stuff like that. But there's also plant and soil sciences, which is like a more specific major, or just plant science if you don't really want to do all like the soil stuff. And those are good if you're interested in going into like agriculture and you want to look into maybe like aquaponics, aeroponics, like new ways, more sustainable ways to do agriculture, or if you're just really interested in seeing how plants work and like what's the best type of soil to grow these plants in. But yeah, if you are interested in agriculture or just plants in general, plant sciences and botany, like those are really cool majors. There's also forestry, so if you've always wanted to be like a park ranger, or you just love learning about trees and walking through the woods and stuff like that, you can go into forestry, which involves like forest management, studying proper management of wildlife and everything related to forests, like how can we sustainably harvest forest resources, like cutting down trees, and like just learning what can forests provide for us. So if you're interested in that, in forest planning, in being a park ranger, that kind of thing, forestry is a really cool major. Especially if you are a hiker, I scrolled all the way down to the bottom of this by accident. Google Doc. But yeah, if you just love like being in the outdoors, being out in the woods, forestry, man. Now, if you are into the ocean, I don't know why I always say ocean like that. I don't know. I got this shirt when I went on a whale watching trip in 10th grade. But anyway, if you're interested in the ocean, of course there is marine biology, which if you have ever watched Dolphin Tale and then didn't immediately want to be a marine biologist after watching that movie, like, but I think everyone pretty much knows what marine biology is. If you are into the ocean, into ocean animals, you know, you love those sea turtles and the dolphins and the sharks, marine biology is a really cool major. But you can also look into more like micro marine biology, where you're looking at like really small organisms in the ocean and all the really cool ways that they produce oxygen, like those phytoplankton, all of that stuff. So anything with the ocean, if you're interested in that, is marine biology. But there's also oceanography, and this one I'll actually explain a little more. It is an area of science that is concerned with the sea and its inhabitants, and it examines how like the air and the earth beneath the sea and the coastline all interact with the sea. And this major uses a lot of science, so you need to really like physics, biology, chemistry, zoology, geology, and math. So if you are a math and physics person, and then you also just like the ocean and like topographic maps of the ocean and just really studying like how the ocean works, and not necessarily the animals, but like the whole ocean itself, this is a really cool major. But you can do lots of like theoretical oceanography work that's like kind of like physics. So if you are a math science person that also likes the ocean, check it out. And you can also relate atmospheric sciences and do like ocean and atmosphere stuff. So anything like that, if you were a really big earth science person in middle school, which earth science is also a major, and so is geology. So those are some sciences that you can look into too. Which I guess briefly I'll say like, yeah, because earth science and environmental science like aren't the same thing, because earth science is kind of really studying like the science itself and not necessarily like the interactions with humans. It's like, how do ocean currents work? How do tectonic plates work? How does the atmosphere work? I don't know what I was gonna say, but you definitely do study earth sciences as an environmental science, but like earth science is really specifically like seeing like how the heck does our planet work. So that was a lot of science majors that I just listed. There are a lot out there. I'm not gonna list them all because this video would be like 6 hours long. But definitely look into them. I have links down below to like Cornell and other schools I know that have really cool environmental science majors, like including like climate change is like a major now. You can look into natural resource management, atmospheric sciences, really specific branches of biology and ecology, agricultural science. UVM has a lot of stuff like that. So yeah, just definitely see this video as a way to open your eyes and really look into specific types of science. So if you are a person looking to go into a science degree, definitely just look and see if there's like a branch of environmental science that is really interesting to you. But also you can always just major in environmental science as a broad major and get more specific later on. Now that we talked about the science, I'm going to move on to more of the like humanities connected environmental things, and also engineering is thrown in there. That probably should be closer to the science, but I'm just going in the order of my doc. So I'm going to move on to environmental studies. So environmental studies combines like science and engineering, but also humanities and like psychology and a whole bunch of stuff to just study the earth and our interactions with it, how it works. So it's very integrated and multidisciplinary. So it's really a lot about how do humans interact with nature, how does like our social systems interact with nature, how does the way people think and our cultures and all of that stuff reflect nature, interact with nature, harm nature. So if you're really interested in people and the planet, this is a cool major. And it's also really broad. If you just know I like the planet, I want to help save the planet, but I don't really know exactly what I want to do. And you know, this is a good way if you know you want to go to grad school eventually to then be able to go off into that. But I'm pretty sure Lauren Singer was an environmental studies major at NYU, so she turned out fantastic. There's a lot of like problem solving where if you are going to be working to solve environmental issues, this major really prepares you to be able to think about the issue from a whole bunch of different angles, because you're just really exposed to a whole bunch of different types of environmental fields. And if you are into humanities, there are majors like environmental history and environmental anthropology and stuff like that. So definitely look into those things because they do exist. If you really are interested in people and history and also the planet, there are majors out there for you. Another humanities major is environmental policy. So environmental policy is really just looking at, you know, government and law and regulations and how we can better protect the planet through those regulations, and you know, what are the best public policy practices that will make sure that, you know, people can make money, that people are healthy, that people are happy, but also that our planet is safe and healthy and being preserved for future generations to enjoy. So if you are interested in, you know, going into government, which is like what I want to do, or like a nonprofit doing like public policy and just really advocating for the planet, this is a cool major. There's also environmental law if you are interested in being a lawyer. And this is more like looking at specific environmental laws, maybe working for the Environmental Protection Agency or, you know, suing big oil companies and stuff like that. Working just to find the best ways to protect our natural resources and to write effective laws that protect our resources while also protecting the interests of people and making sure that people, you know, can still make money and all that stuff while protecting our planet. I'm going to put a link from Vermont Law School and talking about their different environmental law majors, because there are really specific ones. Like you can go into, you know, like agricultural law and energy policy law. So like if you want to work with like solar panels and like writing laws for green energy, stuff like that. I might go to law school. That was always like a possibility for me. I'm probably going to try to just get a job after my bachelor's and then maybe look to go to like a public policy degree or into law school. We'll see. I will keep you posted throughout my life. Yeah, Vermont Law School has lots of cool resources. I will link those down below. Another thing that I'm really interested in, that I'm going to look more into as I go through my degree, is environmental communications and environmental journalism. So if you like to write, if you like to make videos, if you like to talk to people, if you like to really advocate for the planet and like explain environmental issues to people who don't really know about it, this is a cool major. So environmental communications is really just what it is, you know, communicating about the environment to people and like sharing those ideas, maybe working with nonprofits to help them get information out there, working with the government to explain what the new policies and what the new laws are, and just helping people understand, you know, why we need to protect the planet and all that stuff. And environmental journalism can be like more investigative, and also just, you know, being a journalist and writing about the environment, writing about environmental issues, writing about new laws that are being passed, writing about companies that are hurting the planet and trying to like expose that, and just really spreading the word about environmental issues to people in the form of journalism. To be an environmental communication specialist or an environmental journalist, you need to really understand environmental science as well and be able to write with scientific language and be a science writer. I'm planning on adding a literature minor and possibly also a communication minor, so like being a science writer or an editor, like a science writing editor, is another option that I'm interested in. But if you like writing and you also like science and you want to save the planet, those are some cool majors. Now, if you want to be an engineer, there is environmental engineering. So if you are a math science person, here's a cool major for you. Environmental engineers, you know, need to know chemistry and biology and all of that stuff, and you're going to work with geology and hydraulics. And there's so many different things you can do with environmental engineering. A lot of it is also, you know, working to protect human health. A lot of it's working with like clean water systems, like wastewater management, air pollution management, recycling, waste disposal, all of that stuff. You know, a lot of environmental engineers end up working on like sanitation systems, sewage systems, stuff like that. But also, you know, building clean water systems. And there's so many things you can do with environmental engineering, working to prevent waterborne diseases and all of this stuff. So if you like math, science, or into engineering, and want to make a little bit more money, because some of these other majors probably won't make a lot of money, it depends. Hopefully you're not just in it for the money, but that's another thing about environmental engineering. I through middle school all the way until like 11th grade, I thought I was going to major in environmental engineering. Like that's why I really wanted to go to Clarkson, but then I realized that I really liked the science and policy aspect better. And a lot of times environmental engineering is paired with civil engineering because they're very similar, because you're working with like public works projects and stuff like that. I will link Clarkson's environmental engineering stuff down below because they have one of the best environmental engineering programs in the country. Another like side branch, I guess, or just another branch of engineering that is related to environmental engineering is agricultural engineering. So this kind of combines like environmental engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, sometimes electrical engineering, and like food science and food systems and chemistry and all that stuff. Design the best practices for agriculture and, you know, just figuring out the best ways to produce food. I don't know a lot about agricultural engineering, but I will put some links down below. But it's just another cool, interesting part of environmental engineering that you could like look into if you are interested in farming and sustainable food systems and stuff like that. Sorry, that was not probably like super helpful, but I don't want to like that is a helicopter really low over my house. Interesting. But that's something if you are interested in agriculture, but maybe you don't want to go directly into like food science or animal science or plant biology, and you really just want to like look into farming systems as a whole, that's a cool thing to look into. So there are so many majors out there. Obviously I did not cover them all, but definitely just keep looking if you're interested in environmental stuff. Briefly, I'm going to talk about my major. So I'm an environmental science and policy major at Clarkson University. So that is what that major is called. So they have environmental science and policy and environmental health science. And I really was excited that there was a major that combined those two things, and I was going to have to like minor in environmental policy or anything like that, because I really want to be able to understand all of the science, but then I really want to apply that to policy and to go and work for the government and do policy work. So I just really like that that's all packaged into one major and like structured so that I get everything I need to be prepared to go out into the world knowing my science, knowing my stuff, but also knowing how to work with policy. So down below I'm going to link stuff from UVM, from Cornell, from Clarkson, from SUNY ESF, and any other like schools that I see have really cool majors. There's lots of websites that you can use to search for environmental majors, but obviously you can just Google it. But there are like specific websites that have links to environmental programs, so if you just Google best schools for environmental science, like you're going to find a whole bunch of resources out there. But hopefully this video was helpful. If it was, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos about my major, about my college experience, and all that stuff. And comment down below if you have any questions about, my major, about environmental majors in general, about what it's like to be an environmental person. And I will be making a video probably next week about different types of careers that you can have with environmental science bachelor's degree, so without going to grad school. I had someone comment on my last video about if I thought that you needed to go to grad school to be able to get a cool job with an environmental science degree, and you definitely don't, so I'm going to be making a video about that. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.